We're starting Daled Amud Aleph. And 6 lines from the top, Kufa. What is Kufa mean? Now we're going to go back to our text. We're going to re-examine the text of Amirai, as opposed to Amar, which is examining the text of Hanan. We had a question before Rabbi Barabaya. Question was, let's see it again. Kufa. We learned earlier. Rabbi Barabaya is the question. Did they pass upon her? Someone put bread in the oven. And the way they would put bread in the oven is not by they would put bread, they would slam it on the side of the wall of the oven, and it would stick there. And the way they would take it off, they had a marda, some sort of like pizza shop, and that would take it off. So if someone put the bread onto the oven, his question is, he put it on Shabbos. If he leaves it there, I don't know how long it takes, but if he leaves it there another 25 minutes or whatever, it's going to be chayav from Eifa, because he's baked on Shabbos. He's cooking on Shabbos or baking on Shabbos. So, do they allow him to take the bread off the oven? Why? What's the problem? There's two possible reasons that we learned yesterday, and that was it's a shvus. It's a issur d'Rabbanan to take the bread off the oven, either because of the chal or forget the other reason why the Rabbanan made it zera. It's a weekday activity. Take it off. That's one of the reasons. So this question is: are you allowed to do an issur d'Rabbanan to save yourself from an issur d'oraisa? That's a good question. I'm sorry? Yeah, this was we mentioned this yesterday. We tried to answer it yesterday.
But when he put out his hand, let him drop it rather than bring an issur, bringing it back in.
He said, should we make a gzeira on him yesterday that he shouldn't be allowed to bring back his hand? But if we do make that gzeira, then maybe he's going to drop it. Do we impose an issur d'Rabbanan, which could cause an issur d'oraisa? Here we're imposing an issur d'Rabbanan, which is going to cause an issur d'oraisa. Or do we take away this issur d'Rabbanan to? That's our question. Amalei Rabacha Barabaya Rabina. I wonder when I look at this if this is his brother, because Rabbi Barabaya asked the question. Rabacha Barabaya says to Rabina, "Hey, Dami." You don't understand the question?
Dummy?
I don't understand.
Who's the dummy?
It should.
No, I don't understand. You can have a question. Can I do something that I have to bring a carbon katos to save me from mosquitoes?
Right. That's a similar type question. We do a small avera to save it from a bigger avera.
That's the way I just said it. It seemed like a no-brainer.
That you should or that you shouldn't?
Yes, to save a Jewish life, I would think it would be worth bringing carbon katos.
Okay, so now we're going to see. Let's see how the question plays out, because you'll get a few other pieces of logic. First, the Gemara says, "What's the case?" If you put it in b'shegeg means we're going to have this in all of Masechta Shabbos. Either he forgot that it's Shabbos, or he forgot that the malacha was aseh. So let's say he forgot it's Shabbos. So, and that's why he put it on. And he doesn't remember. So what's the problem? So who's asking the question? So to whom are they permitting to take it off? He doesn't know that it's Shabbos. So he doesn't know that it's asr. Who are they permitting? Elalav, the Hadavidka. You must say that he then remembered that it was Shabbos or that it's asr, and now he wants to take it off, and then he said, coming to ask. The Gemara says, if someone changes his awareness from the beginning of the malacha to the end of the malacha, mi mechayev, is he chayev if he changes that awareness? But it was taught in the Mishnah, kol chayav echata is anyone that has to bring a chatas, einan chayav and ad sheit chilasim shgaga v'seifim shgaga. They have to be a shegig all the way. In order to bring a karban, there has to be an entire shegig from the beginning of the malacha till the end. After the malacha was performed, then he realizes, okay, I did a malacha. So then it would bring a chatas. But here, in the middle of the malacha, he remembered. That's not a chatas. The problem is the wording of Rabbi Barabaya. He could have asked the question other ways, but he asked it that way, so that can't be what he's asking. Ella b'mezid. You must say that he put it on purpose. And now he wants to do tshuva. So Zayvei, I want to take it off. It should have said before it becomes Isser Skila, before it gets stoned. Because if he does it on purpose, maybe there's Adam, so then it would be Skila. So Amar of Shila, usually Rav Shila is earlier, but this must be a later Rav Shila. Rav Shila says, Li'olam b'shoigeg. Really, this is very interesting. Really, the person put it in b'shoigeg, and the person is still a shoigeg. So who's asking the shaila? L'man netiru. So who's asking the question? La'acherim. There's other people that come to the Rav and they say, you put the thing in the oven, it's gonna bake soon. Can I quickly take it off to save that person that's a shegeg? He doesn't realize it's Shabbos, so he doesn't know that it's us. Can I take it off to save it?
Wow.
It's a very good question. It's a mitzvah question.
But don't know the story in the parasha about the person who cut wheat, who really wanted to do it to show everyone that the Avir for Shabbos is really like stoned after. So isn't it the same thing here?
Wow.
He's doing an Avir on that.
He's doing an Avir to show everyone. So here what we want to do, we're doing a small Avir to take away someone else's big Avir. That's what we're doing.
The same thing. We're just still here.
Now, he was doing a big Avera to set an example.
Right.
Here we have two
Averas.
Averas.
That's.
But here we have two Averas. One is weighted, very heavy, right? And the other one is light. And now we're asking, can someone else do the light Avera to save this other person from a very heavy Avera? That's a question now. Maskefler Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes has a question. Is this Rav Sheshes?
Isn't something like en adam chotev lo lo?
Ah, v'chiyomrim lo l'adam chatei k'dei sheyizkeh chabercha. Do you tell a person,
I didn't see that.
do an avera so that your friend should have a merit? We're just saying the people that I like come in. That's another quote. I forget where that comes in. So we're saying that you can't do that. You can't do a small avera so that your friend should have a merit. There's a very important Tosfos here, where Tosfos brings different cases. One of his cases, his first case, is that a person can separate his trumas shalom min hamukaf if he's given permission to an amaretz to eat from his grain, and he realizes that he forgot to take truma. You're supposed to take truma when everything is right next to each other. He's allowed to separate his grain to save the person that he told that he can take. He's allowed to do shalom min hamukaf, not from right there, to save him. So he says, Kasha, how can you say that he can do this small avera to take shalom min hamukaf just to save that fellow from eating his grain that the meiser and the truma wasn't taken? It's a problem. Tosfos says, no, here he's serving him. So he's more involved. Then Tosfos brings up another case. It says, if two partners have a slave, one of them frees his slave. That means this person, the slave, is now chetzi yeved v'chetzi ben chayrin. He's half slave, half. So the Gemara says that we tell the other master to free his slave, so that this slave is able to get married. Now, freeing a slave is an avera. We're telling him to do an avera so that the slave should be able to get married. Can you tell the owner to do an avera for the slave? So he answers, Pirya, Verivya, the mitzvah Rabbahi. That's a different story. That's such a great mitzvah. Okay, so what we're saying is that there's exceptions. Then, what's his last thing? There's one more over here, I think.
Pesach.
Okay, that's the same answer. Okay, so basically what we have is that if you're responsible, or if it's a mitzvah rabbah, those would be exceptions to this case. Okay, Elam Ravashi. Ravashi says, Lo'ilam b'mezid. No, this can't be the shaila. It has to be that the person put it on b'mezid. The ema, and we should rephrase the question of Rabbi Bibi Barabaya. The ema kodim shevel yisur skila. That was the question. Should you take off the...
So it was not chatas.
It's not a chatas. Should we take off the bread? Should the person himself take off the bread to save himself from an yisur skila? He says that was the original version. Amar Bibi Barabaya. That they allowed him to take it off. He says it with the answer that he they allowed him to take it off before it comes to skila. A lot of mivtzayim questions are involved in this Gemara. I mean, you have to go through this very well, but people have these questions like, he's going to put on tefillin and all types of like very interesting things that come up for other people. Could miss the Shabbos Purim, but I'll read the Megillah for another 10 people. Okay.
So the mitzvahs are saying that the mitzvah that person could be either. Does it matter if it's a nasa or a lo sasa?
That's a good question. I know the Mishnah Brura in this says that unbaked dough is muktzah. So if you put it in the oven, you can't even take it out if someone else put it in the oven. Someone else put it in the oven, you can't even take it out because it's muktzah, and that muktzah is a minor derabanan, I think, compared to, no, actually, Redias Apas would have been less derabanan, cooked in the chal, that would have been less derabanan than muktzah. So how would it work, and how would we have an example?
I think there's a...
If the bread was baked already, and now you're cooking the bread in water, to take it out, that would be an example. Can you take it off the fire? Because that's not muktzah anymore. Yeah.
I think one of the examples that I read is that if a person has the person's lula, esrog becomes puzzle on Yontif, and the only other lula the only other esrog that he has is a decoration in his sukkah, but it's muktzah. So can a person either muktzah the mitzvah the rabbanan in order to do the mitzvah the rice?
That's a nice.
That's very interesting.
And they say you can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Because that's the only esrog.
Right. That's very, very interesting. Did you see that in your Gemara? No.
No. That's what over the years.
Dani puts out his hand. That's very interesting. Which case are we asking on? There's like a bunch of cases. Is the balabais taking from him, or is the balabais putting into his hand? How do they quote it in the we're talking about here that he's putting it into the hands of the Balabais. It's the first case of the Mishnah.
So
And he's putting it into the hands of the Balabais. The Ani is doing the Atira and the Hana.
that here, so that's for sure. So there's no, he's doing both.
He's doing both. That's the first case. The Gemara asks, "Am I chayiv? Why is he chayiv being an akira v'anacham el gabi makom daled al daled v'leka?" You have to put it on an area that's 4x4, which is considered a rishus, 4x4 tvachim. Anything that's less than 4x4 tvachim is not considered a real rishus. So if you're taking it off the ground, that would be fine. The akira was fine, but the placing it into someone else's hand, the hand is not daled al daled. You didn't put it into a shusayachid.
That's kind of funny. How much more yachid can you be than a single person?
Right.
It still needs the space.
Amar Rabba. Rabba says, Hamani, Rabbi Akiva. This is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Amar that he says, Leibin and Makayim Arbal Arba. Doesn't need to be a 4x4 placed down. Where do you see this? Itnan. Start in the Mishnah. Zayrik Rishus Hayachid, Rishus Hayachid, Rishus Rabban Damtza. If someone throws an item. Think about how the ladies would chit chat on the balconies, from one balcony to another, and they would yell across, "Hey!" So here they throw an item from one Rishus Hayachid to another Rishus Hayachid, but there was a Rishus Rabbim in between. Can't be too high because then it would be a makom tour. Okay, so what's the din over there? It's going from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Hayachid. It's only passing through the Rishus Rabbim. Rabbi Akiva mechayev, the Chachamim paichim. Rabbi Akiva says chayev, the Chacham say pater. Rabbi Akiva savar, Rabbi Akiva holds amrina, and that we say kluta kamisha huncha danya. That flying is like landing. That means that as it's passing through in the air over the Rishus Rabbim, it's as if it's land as it's traveling. And it's traveling in the air is like stopping. Right? Stop. That's
a long stop.
Right. The Rabbanan Savri, Leamrin Klut Commission Chadamya. The Rabbanan hold no. Okay. So if he holds that it doesn't actually rest and it's considered like it stopped, that means you don't need a makam dalet al dalet for it to rest. So I put it into the balabais' hand. If that's resting, so it's resting like it's on the ground. It's resting. It's the same resting. L'meimra, is this to say the pshitale l'rabba the bekluta kamishahon chadamya that this is comparable? It's obvious to Rabba that this is comparable to flying is like resting. And they're arguing if it's within 10 tefachim, as we explained it. But really, Rabba had this as a question. Because Rabba's question was, are they arguing Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanon within 10 tefachim of the ground? We said before that 10 tefachim, Rishus Rabbim only extends up 10 tefachim. After 10 tefachim comes a makom tur. Are they arguing within 10 tefachim ubahal pligi? And this is the machlekes. Rabbi Akiva savakut kamishon chadanya. Rabbi Akiva holds that flying is like resting. Rabbanan Sabri and the Rabbanan hold layamrin kamishon chadanya. That we don't say that it's like resting. It's flying. It never stops. But above 10 tefachim, everyone holds its pater. With the Kuli Alma, and everyone agrees that you don't learn throwing from passing. Okay, there's a Gemara in Perek HaZeirek. That's one of the malachas in the Mishkan was Meishit Rishus Hayachid Rishus Rabbim be'emtza, and it was above 10 tefachim. It went like this. That they had wagons, They would line them up. This would be good with those Lego, because he did he did something for the Mishkan, included in that for these wagons. So what they would do is they would put the boards on top of the first wagon, and they would slide it over. So Moshe sliding it. Those wagons were 10 tefachim. Sliding above 10 tefachim with the Rosh Hashanah in the middle is chayiv, is considered a malacha. It's a strange thing, but so.
You lost me.
Yeah, let me show you in the Gemara. Do you have the mark of where it is in Perek HaZeirek? Let's see, Tzaddik Vav.
There.
Take a look.
So 2 wagons each. next to each other?
In the Rashi, like 4 lines down, so you parking as the Mishkan Litain ala Golis, they would take the Mishkan apart. They would have the wagons one in front of another as if they're traveling. And Shtayim, 2 wagons next to each other. Along the length of the Rosh Hashanah. So you write sim lahalech achar Ramada Ana and Hailech Lefneim. The parking Mishkan a Meshitan Akrashim Leisam shall stay a Galas Smuchas Mishkan. A Meshitan Leisam shall Lefneim. Abel Meagol La Gol Shabetzit Leitzrichum Haishat. Okay. So, and that was 10 tefachim tall.
So that's in the tour area.
It was, but it's considered, the wagon itself is considered Rosh Hashanah. When they would pass it from one to another, was going over Rosh Hashanah. So back to our Gemara. Above 10 tefachim, everyone says is pater. With the Kuli Alma, and everyone holds that throwing from a Rosh Hashanah to another Rosh Hashanah in the middle is not like Maishit, because Maishit means to slide it, to pass it. Maishit was in the Mishkan, but Zayrek is not in the Mishkan. So even though it's so similar, throwing it from one Rosh Hashanah to another Rosh Hashanah with Rosh Hashanah is so similar to passing it, to sliding it across the wagon, but nevertheless it's not learned one from another, and this is pater. Or maybe the whole machlokes is only above 10 tefachim. Beautiful. That's great. You see that? It comes with a picture.
Yeah.
And everyone's different.
Each picture is personalized.
So is the bottom.
That's great.
So the bottom.
So is the bottom.
We're gonna do though.
This is Argus.
So
It's Corona. This is the Corona.
So
Thank you, Yitzi.
you see, and someone told me he lived in Williamsburg, and he gave Shalach Manas in the morning, and towards the evening he got a plate back of Shalach Manas that looked very, very similar. Very familiar. So he looked, he took the things up on the bottom. It said, yeah, from the Kaplan family, who was Kaplan or whatever. So it came back. I don't know how many people it went to, but it ended up coming back to him. So yeah, this is going to be hard. And this is the machlokes. We're saying that it's all everything is above 10 tefachim. Rabbi Kiva Savar Yalfin and Zayrek from Moshe. Rabbi Kiva holds that you do learn Zayrek from Moshe, and that's why it's chayev. Zayrek means throwing, and Moshe means passing. Moshe was the problem, passing from one wagon to the other. The Rabbanan say that you don't learn one from the other.
So only Mashit would be chayev.
Only Moshe is chayev, not Zayrek.
Right.
This
Checking
just
myself.
saved us 100 blocks before we got to that, because we introduced it over here. But under 10 tefachim, everyone would say chayev. My time, what's the reason?
And Rabbi
it's
Akiva would agree to
considered,
that.
Rabbi Akiva
And
for
Rab
sure
and the
holds, even the
Chacham.
Rabbanan would
Right,
hold.
yeah.
So, 1 second. So what was our question here? We're asking on Rabbah. Because Rabbah says that this is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. 1 second. Why does he have to say it's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva? This could be
Everyone's
even the opinion of the Rabbanan, if that's the pshat in the Gemara there, that the whole machlekes Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan is
It's
only
above.
above 10. Do I learn Zayrik Mimoshe? But under 10, everyone would agree. So why is he saying it's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva? There's another. Rabbah himself had a question. He didn't know how to learn the machlekes. And it could be, it's not only Rabbi Akiva's opinion, it could be it's the Rabbanan's opinion also. So the Gemara answers, after he asked the question, then he answered it. Am I supposed to change the words here? Nihi? Am I supposed to change to Nihi? What do you have in your Gemara? Nihi the Savar Rabbi Akiva Klut Mishan Chadamya? Okay, let's just read it like as in the printed edition. Okay, the Savar Rabbi Akiva Klut Mishan Chadamya. That Rabbi Akiva is the one that holds this and not the Rabbanan. The Gemara now has a question. The Dilma Anachahu Delay Boy. Akira Boy. 1 second. If someone throws from a Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid, from one porch to another, there's a Rishus HaRabim in the middle. So Rabbi Akiva said that it's as if like it's landed every second as it's flying. And so therefore he's chayiv. Because it went into Rishus HaRabim. But is he chayiv 1 or chayiv 2? It went from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. Is he chayiv also from the Rishus HaRabim to the Rishus HaYachid? That he never said. It must be that there's a difference between hanacha, it's as if it landed, but it's not like an akira. An akira really needs to have landed and you have to uproot it. But this was never really landed. This was just landed halachically could be considered a hanacha. So the Gemara asks, but you really need 4x4 to do a real akira. And we see that from that Gemara over there, where Rabbi Akiva says chayiv, but doesn't say chayiv twice. Elam Rabbi Yosef Amani Rabbi. This must be the opinion of Rabbi.
About the ani.
About the ani, yeah. Hi Rabbi. Which Rabbi is it? It's not which Rabbi, we know who Rabbi is, but which opinion of Rabbi? Elema ha Rabbi. Should we say it's the following Rabbi? The Tanya was taught in a brayso. Zorak benach al gabi ziz kol shelu. Someone throws from one place in Rishus HaRabim to another place in Rishus HaRabim, and 4 cubits away. That's considered carrying in Rishus HaRabim, and it lands on a small protrusion from a wall, very thin area that it lands on. Rabbi Mechayev Chachamim Paichim. Rabbi says that he's chayev, which means that Rabbi holds that it doesn't need to land on an area that's arba al arba, dalet al dalet.
But this was all in the Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, it was sticking out into Rosh Hashanah. So Rabbi holds it doesn't need to land on a place of arba al arba. The Chum say that it does. The Gemara says 1 second. Awesome, come on over there. That's like we're going to need to explain Keda Abaya. Like Abaya says. The Amar Abaya says, Hacha be'ila na'imed b'rishus hayachid. Here, the tree, what did it land on? And then a little protrusion that was sticking out from something. It's a tree that's standing in Rishus hayachid. The Noifa Noitel Rishus Harabim, and its branches are stretched into the Rishus Harabim. The Zarak Benach Anoifai, and it landed on the branch. The Rebbe Savar, Rebbe holds Aminan Shadi Neifer Basar Ikrai, that it's considered like a Rishus HaYachid. It's not because landing
On a
on a small thing is considered that it went for Amos, and it's considered like it landed in Rishus Harabim. It's like it's landed, it's changed Rishus, and it's now in Rishus HaYachid. I'm not sure how that helps. Shadi Naifai.
Maybe the tree is
Basar
more than
Ikrai.
4x4.
No, 1 second.
Yeah.
Ikar Machshav Leilonai. Shadi Naifai Basar Ikrai. How do they translate it over there? Shadi Naifai Basar Ikrai. Do you have it? And you throw the branch after the base. It sounds like
Muna, the Rashi says, Kamuna Rishus Rabim al Makom Dalit. That's why,
that
so it's
would
considered
mean-
big.
That would
So-
mean that I'm putting the base into the Rosh Hashanah. The translation is a little funny to me.
Where it says that the tree's branches are considered an extension of the trunk, and therefore the entire tree is considered as a rishus. The one who throws onto it is high.
But you're getting a
No, the
space. You're getting a
branches are
space that's
branches.
more than
So it's
4x4.
considered like the trunk. The trunk is 4x4, and this is just an extension of the trunk. So it's considered like it's landing on the trunk. Is that what the point is? It's considered like it's landing on the trunk. So over there, it landed on a 4x4.
Why can't you just say it was a tree in Shus Harabim, a 4x4 tree?
Right.
With this-
Why are they throwing the Yachid in here?
That was the case over there, probably. That was the case.
What's the thing with the projection from the building, from the house?
Right.
Is that considered to be part of the house? It's a rishus yachid, or it's also already rishus?
So according to Abaya, we would say that it's considered part of the base, right? And so over there, that's not going to give us any explanation for landing on someone's hand. Rabbanan Sabri Layamnin Shadi Naifa Basirika. And the Rabbanan hold that you don't do that. And that's why you're pater. So it can't be that Rebbe that's the one that's telling us why the Ani is chayiv here, putting it into the Balabayas. Eloha Rebbe, it's the following Rebbe. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa Zarak. This is that tomorrow later. Zarak Mirshus Rabim, Lishus Rabim, Mishus Yachid. Someone throws from Rishus Rabim to another Rishus Rabim. And you have a Rishus Yachid in the middle, the story that we were discussing before. Rebbe Mechayev Chacham and Paichim. Rebbe says Yechayev. Nacham say Pater. Va'amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Mechayev Hayo Rebbe Shtayim. Rebbe says Yechayev too. That's the case. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Right.
Someone that says that it's considered a hanacha and also an akira. Achas mishum mitzav, achas mishum achnasa. Alma loy boy akira, v'loy hanacha al gabi makam dalet al dalet. Okay, we have our answer. Why, if an ani takes an item outside and puts it inside into a balabayas' hand that's inside, why is it considered an akira and an hanacha? Because it's following the opinion of Rebbe that says that it doesn't need to be taken or put into a place that's dalet al dalet, that's 4x4 hand rest. Gemara says 1 second. Vayitmar Allah, but we was taught on that the statement of Amirayim. Rav and Shmuel Damri Tabayu. Rav and Shmuel both say, "Loi mechayev Rebbe, ela b'shus hayachid mekayra." The Amrinan basic command Amal Yadami. Aval she'ena mekayra loy. Rav and Shmuel both said that the only reason why Rebbe says
It's Chaim.
that he's chayev, but it's going over. It's the opposite. It was from Rosh Hashanah to another Rosh Hashanah with the Rosh Hashanah in the middle.
Wait, so the
It's going
story.
through a house. You have to imagine like this.
Hmm.
There's 2 windows. This I had in.
This is the gift. It's through the gift.
Through 2 windows.
I thought it was 2 windows. The question was she in the Kabbalah?
Oh.
I thought that.
Oh. So this I was at a Fabrengen in Crown Heights. In someone's house, he had his windows open. The neighbor had the windows open, and I saw straight through. I didn't make it to the next house, but that would be the question over here. That if you can throw something that would go through a whole house, and it would come out the other side, it would go through both windows. So is it considered like it landed inside? If you hold that it's considered landed inside, So then it landed and then it took off again. And then you'd be chayiv twice. So you see, 10 tfachim is a din in Rishus Harabim is 10 tfachim. But Rishus HaYachid is always a Rishus HaYachid. I think, right? Rishus HaYachid goes all straight up. I think that's how it works.
Like a suit.
Yeah. It's only the Rishus Harabim that changes after 10 tfachim.
So both Rav and Shmuel are changing the original story
No, they're
here.
not changing the original story. It's this story, this price is Zorak Rishus Harabim, Rishus Harabim, Rishus HaYachid Be'emtza. It's the
Because here
story
it doesn't
is
say that.
very specific. No, if you look carefully. It's-
Elahad the Tanya Zarak Mirshus Harabim Mirshus Harabim Mirshus Yachid Be'emtza.
Okay, now, but Rav and Shmuel now come along and say that it's very specific Rishus HaYachid Be'emtza. Which type of Rishus HaYachid? Only a Rishus HaYachid that actually has a roof. Why? Because that Rishus HaYachid is Kamanda Mal Yadam. It's as if it's entirely filled. So that because when I have an enclosed house and something's traveling through, so that's considered like it's stopped. Would have been open, then we wouldn't have said that.
So if someone threw Matanis Lavioni through the window of one house, went through Rishus out the other window, through
Okay.
Rishus Haram into another house was a Yotzei because it went into two houses.
To it,
Skip and then the other. I mean, I'm just adding a house.
Dr. Stein,
It's a
If
Purim
someone
Purim
has-
Torah.
a pot of milk cooking, and a bird flies over it. Is his milk tray? Because he holds kluta kamisha oncha, so is he just cooked milk and meat?
It
Okay.
was a
A Purim.
Okay. If you're going to say, okay, that's what we're dealing with here as well, that it had a roof on it. The Gemara says, 1 second. We have two cases in the Mishnah, but we have two people. We have a ani and we have a balabayas. You can say that it's considered landed in the Rishus HaYachid because the Rishus HaYachid has a roof. But Rishus Harabim Makayim Michayev. But if it would be a Rishus Harabim that has a roof, I guess that's possible. In other words, for the ani, is it over there? Do we say that Rishus Harabim Makayim is Chayev? Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda Amar Rabba Amar Rabban Amar Rav Amar Bechayfetz Dalar Amos Rishus Harabim Makayim is Pater. L'fi she'ina daima l'diglei midbar. Rishus Harabim Makayim is not even chayiv, because where do we learn Rishus Harabim from the desert? Because the area that the Jewish people, the public area there had 600,000 people, but that didn't have a roof. It has a roof, according to Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, in the name of Rav. If you carry 4 cubits in a public area that has a roof, you're not chayiv anyway. Okay. Let me leave the Gemara over here. Ella.
So where's it holding now? We're holding now that
You're
it's
looking for the
still
author.
of
You're looking for
who
the
said
author.
Chayev.
Who said chayiv?
So it can't be Rebbe yet, right?
Thank you. Dr. Purim.